Okay, so one more method apart from bilinear transformation to convert an analog filter that you have designed to the digital one is nothing but your impulse invariant transformation. Okay, so earlier we had seen bilinear transformation. This is one another method to convert your analog filter into the corresponding digital one, that is h of as will be the transfer function that you would be obtaining out of the analog filter. Okay, a indicates analog in that. Okay, and you are converting that into h of z. Okay, all right. Now here let's see how what exactly we need to do, then we will solve few problems based on it. Okay, so the very first, they say you consider your h of at. Okay, if it represents the impulse response of an analog filter. Okay, how exactly you would be representing your h of z. So h of n, if you represent that as h of, this is the impulse response. If h of at, analog impulse response, which is sampled, okay, for an interval n, you can write it as this. Okay, now the discretized form of this h of n, if you consider to be h of z, will be nothing but the z transform taken of this impulse response h of n, that is nothing but the analog transfer function. Okay, now where this h of z is nothing but the z transform of unit sample response h of n, h of as is the impulse response, the Laplace transform of the unit impulse response. H of z does not directly correspond to your h of z when s is replaced by z. It is not correct, that we will see. Okay, now we basically make use of partial function in case of our IIT. Okay, that is nothing but impulse invariance transformation. Okay, you should take care. We make use of partial fraction expansion, and the analog transfer function that you have designed will be put into a partial fraction expression as such. Okay, where c is a constant. Now if you compare this to your Butterworth, and your n is nothing but the order here, order of the filter. Okay, so if you compare this to your Butterworth or Chebyshev, for Butterworth it is always, the c value is always 1. If you remember, we obtain 1 by s minus s naught, s minus s1, s2, and so on. Okay, when it comes to your what do you say, Chebyshev, you will get some constant values. Okay, because we were solving it for the numerator and denominator polynomials, and hence we end up getting c some constant value. Okay, now this is a partial function expansion with the value of I ranging from 1 to n, not from 0 to n, it is ranging from 1 to n. Okay, and it will have its corresponding impulse response noted as this. Okay, now what it is trying to say in this particular expression, ci is they are trying to tell you what exactly the ci is, how is it associated with your h of a's. Okay, all right. Now h of a and t, see, this h of t can also be written as h of h a n t, right, with this. Okay, it is equal to this. Now we are going to take the z transform. Okay, in order to obtain the discrete, that is nothing but h of z. So h of z is nothing but that, this also we have written, it is nothing but the z transform of your h of n. Okay, so when we take this, now what basically happens is we are going to make some substitution in this particular, since the system that we are considering is a causal system. Okay, we are starting the lower limit from 0. Okay, now h of z is equal to summation of n. See, you are obtaining, you are comparing these two. Okay, that is this particular equation and this. Okay, and you are getting your h of z as this. Alright, and solving this, you would end up getting summation I equal to 1 of n ci by 1 minus e to the power sit z inverse. Okay, now comparing equation 1 and 2 again. Now comparing equation 1 and your equation 2, you can write your 1 by s minus si, when it is, that is nothing but with respect to the poles, when you take the impulse invariance transformation, all that you would get is nothing but 1 by 1 minus e to the power sit z inverse, or the z can be taken up by getting z divided by z minus e to the power si into t. So it is left to you whether you want to use this or this. Okay, we will see the problem wherein we are using this or this. So impulse invariant transformation, you keep in your mind, we would be making use of this. Okay, here it is one. We may get some constant values. Okay, some coefficients when we make use of the partial fractions. Okay, now you need to keep in mind two things. The mapping here in bilinear transformation, the mapping was 1 to 1, whereas the mapping in case of your impulse invariance transformation is basically many to one. Okay, so many points in the or many analog frequencies in one particular plane will be mapped to one single frequency in the digital plane. Okay, that is nothing but your Z plane. Clear? And this is also one of the stable technique of converting your analog filter to digital one, so it is very widely used. Okay, now again some what do you say, properties they are observing with respect to what we have derived here, and it is there order remains same. They say the order what you obtain of h of z from h of z remains same. Okay, so it does not change. Also the mapping of the poles, there it was in S plane, here it is in Z plane, so mapping is Si is converted to Zi, which can also be written as e to the power Si by t. Okay, now assuming Z equal to, if you remember in the bilinear transformation also we had taken some values of R and we had seen which particular value lies in the unit circle, inside unit circle or outside unit circle, or exactly at the center with respect to the value of R greater than 0, R less than 0, R equal to 0. The same thing that we have done. So this equates, okay, the relationship between your analog frequency and the digital frequency. Okay, so here I have written if sigma is less than 0, that means R value is this. Okay, so sigma greater than 0, R is greater than 1. If it is 0, R is same as that plane conversion. Okay, so they say left half pole basically of the S plane will be mapped to the unit circle Z plane, and right half pole of the S plane will be mapped basically outside. Okay, all right. And what particular values see, if your analog frequency lies with respect to this particular range, okay, it will be mapping to these values of your digital frequency. Clear? Okay, where q will be an integer, any value with respect to q, this analog frequency range, if it lies within this, okay, so it will be lying at the Z plane between these particular ranges. Alright, okay, then they say like the frequency response, digital frequency response can be expressed with respect to the sampling theorem. Okay, so one thing you should keep in mind, this particular bilinear this particular impulse invariant transformation method is highly suitable for your low pass and band pass. When it comes to the high pass and band stop filter designed, okay, they say like the two filter, the frequency response of this two filter, they does not decay to 0, and the right hand side of this equation never converge. Okay, so you keep in mind this IIT method. This is basically very well used for the low pass and band pass filter designing, and the aliasing effect will be very less. Okay, all right. And so far we have spoken about the poles, right? So they say the 0 of h of z, that is a digital filter and the analog filter, their relationship is basically complex. That is, see, we the what do you say, the denominator that we obtain of the transfer function, we try to bring it to a common value. Okay, so the numerator value, it will end up with a polynomial of this, that is nothing but n minus 1, whatever, this is nothing but the degree. So z to the, if it is 2, it will be z to the power minus 2 minus 3. Okay, this will not be same as this, I am talking about the digital one. This will not necessarily be same as that of the analog filter. Okay, so the zeros, in the beginning I told you the order of the poles that you have designed will be same as that of the analog and digital, but when it comes to the zeros it might change. Okay, alright, let's see a problem. Okay, a third order Butterworth, that means n is equal to 3, low pass filter has a transfer function as h of s equal to so and so. Okay, Now see, they have already given the transfer function. This is analog transfer function. You should understand it is h of s. Okay, you have to convert this analog transformation into the digital one, that is nothing but h of z. Okay, so many a times they would be directly giving the transfer function and you will have to correspondingly convert into digital, or else they may give you the specification of the analog frequencies. You may have to convert it to digital and then find, as you had done in the bilinear transformation. Okay, you will have to basically find using with the given specification. You may have to find your h of s first. That is by finding your order first, then by poles and all that. Okay, then finding h of s, then you will have to convert it. If it is directly given the analog transfer function, then it is fine, you just have to convert it. Okay, all right. So h of s you have to find using IIT, sorry, impulse invariant transformation technique. So you have 1 by s plus 1. Okay, now this is a quadratic equation here and you need to find the roots. Okay, so once you find the roots of it, you split into this, apply partial function to this. Okay, now when you apply partial function, you would basically get 3 constant. Okay, wherein the third constant, that is nothing but C3, if you assume it to be, it is here only specific to this. Okay, it is the conjugate of your C2 because it is S plus, okay, yeah, s plus 0.5 minus, here it is plus, so you can see it is this is a conjugate of this, correct? Okay, so C3 is nothing but basically the conjugate. So if you just find the value of C2, if you take conjugate of C2, you would obtain your constant C3. So find the C1 and C2 using your partial function. Okay, that is, you would have this multiplied with this, so you will be left only with C1 by s plus. So this particular transfer function, it will be multiplied by s plus 1. So s plus 1 gets cancelled. So the pole here is, you would compare this with 0, s plus 1 equal to 0, so s will be equal to minus 1. Substitute the value minus 1 in this, you would obtain C1. Similarly, obtain the value of C2. I hope you know, okay, the concept of mathematics in partial fraction, you please make use here. Okay, so with that, you find the value of C equals to 1, C1 equals to 1, C2 and C3. This they have written in the polar form. Okay, so see here, they have C2 they have obtained. So C3 is basically nothing but the conjugate. So it is e to the power minus j 2.62. Here it is e to the power j 2.62. Now substitute this. Okay, substitute this in the formula. So we have, okay, so now your transfer function is changed to this with respect to the poles that you have calculated. Okay, so the 3 poles are nothing but S1 is equal to minus 1, S2 will be equal to minus 0.5 plus J 0.866, S3 is equal to minus 0.5 minus J 0.866. So that is why this is third order. That is nothing but the order of the filter N is nothing but 3, which means you have 3 poles. Clear? Okay, now use the impulse invariance transformation equation where summation I equal to 1 to n Ci. Now the Ci you have 3, substitute the value from I to 3. You can substitute the value of your poles, okay, depending upon the I value, even the poles change. So C1, C2, C3, S1, S2, S3. Okay, so substitute the value here and you can solve it further. If it is taking lot of time to solve and if it is raising the creating confusion, you can leave at least till calculate it till here. Okay, all right. Now one more problem, let's see, wherein they're asking you to prove something. Okay, now the analog transfer function again here is given as b by s plus a whole square plus b square. Okay, now you have to prove the digital transfer function of this is given by this, and also you have to find the digital transfer function of this particular HA of s, that is analog transfer function given. Okay, all right. Now if you take this particular equation, now we are going to find out the poles out of it. Okay, so considering the denominator and equating that with 0, we get the value of S as minus A plus minus of JB, that is minus A plus JB minus A minus JB. So let's assume S1 is minus A plus JB and S2 is minus A minus JB. Okay, now C1 will be B by, again, partial function. Okay, now you can see this is again conjugate, so if you just find C1, C2 will be the conjugate of this. Okay, so the value of C1 you can find. Okay, value of C1 you can find, it will be 1 by 2j, so C2 will be 1 minus 2j. Substitute the value. Okay, now you have to optimize this, okay, or solve it until, see, since it is a proof thing, you know, until which particular step you will have to further solve the equation for. So it has, the question is sine and cos term, so you have to also solve it further. So you have 1 by 2j taken in common. So see here, I had told you, like, we can use either the equation of Ci by 1 minus e to the power, okay, SIT, or Z by Z minus e to the power. So here they are making use of this. Okay, so 1 by 2j, that is what is the coefficient that we have. Okay, so we will be left with Z. Okay, and the corresponding poles, substitute, expand it. Okay, take the LCM, multiply the terms whichever is not there in the numerator, then you can bring in the term with respect to your e to the power to get your sin bt and cos bt. Okay, so you have this 2j term also. So whatever is for the sin theta and whatever is for the cos theta, you can bring in the term. The second and the fourth term will together give you your sin theta here in the denominator. The second and the third term will give you the cos theta term. Okay, so we end up getting the what do you say, the we prove it here. Okay, now another transfer function they have given is that is 1 by s square plus 2s plus 2, right? They are asking you to find the digital transformation out of it. Now you can very easily see, this is again a quadratic equation, but I can write that this equation as this, s plus 1 whole square plus 1 square. Now you compare this with what was given in a problem, that is nothing but this. Okay, so there we have 1 by s plus 1 square plus 1 square, correct? Yes. If you compare this with our equation, the value of b is 1 as well as the value of a is 1. Okay, compare this, I repeat, compare this 1 by s plus 1 whole square plus 1 square with this. Okay, b by s plus a square plus b square. When you compare, you get the value of b as 1 and also the value of a as 1. So we know the converted digital filter of this HAF analog filter is nothing but this. So now we know, so of course the converted digital filter of the analog filter given that we have been given will be this itself, correct? The only difference will be you will have to substitute the value of a and b correspondingly. So wherever a and b is there, replace the value by 1. Okay, and you would end up getting the equation as this. Okay, so one more problem I have solved of the same kind. I want you to go through and understand it. Okay, so in order to do this impulse invariance transformation method, you should be good at partial fraction, because that is where we are finding the coefficient. So if you don't find the coefficient, then it will be difficult to map it to the equation. Okay, so recall the concepts of your mathematics, partial fraction expansion of the various form, like if you are being given the quadratic form, or depending upon if you have to take the conjugate, how exactly you will have to write, you just go through it.